ಆತ್ಮೀಯರೇ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಒಬ್ಬರು ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ವಾದ ಒಂದು ನುಡಿಯನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಅಂದರೆ, ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಂಪತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಜ್ಞಾನ, ಅತ್ಯಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೌಶಲ್ಯ, ಬಲವಾದ ಆಯುಧ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ತಾಳ್ಮೆ, ಉತ್ತಮ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಎಂದರೆ ಸತ್ಯ ಹೇಳುವುದು, ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಔಷಧಿ ಎಂದರೆ ನಗು. ವಿಶೇಷ ಅಂದರೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಇದು ಸತ್ಯ ಕೂಡ. ಎನಿಹೋ, ನಿಜವಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಕೌಶಲ್ಯವನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ನಿರಂತರವಾದ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು, ನಾನು ಹಿಂದಿನ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನಾಗಿದೆ ಆ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೀಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮುಂದಿನದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೇನೆ. Friends, we have already discussed about what is mathematics. Many people have given definitions of mathematics, but moreover, in modern days, mathematics is considered as mental ability which is effective and inductive. Nevertheless, here we are not considering mathematics as a mental activity. We will consider it as a language which deals with numbers, spaces, reasons and measurements. Anyhow, there are main three branches of mathematics. Mainly there are three branches of mathematics. One is algebra, and another one is analysis, and the third one is geometry. Algebra deals with the elements of the sets. In other words, each element of a set is arbitrarily taken as a unknown variable x or y, like that. And algebra deals with group of elements or set of elements and the related operations. And geometry deals with spaces and their measurements. Analysis is the heart of the mathematics, and it always deals with elements and operations, particular operations. In other words, analysis is nothing but analyzing the problem in terms of elements and its operators. Anyhow, we shall not discuss about the functions and what type of functions we are considering. Somehow we will be considering what we call real valued functions. Real valued functions. You already know that a real valued function is nothing but the value of the function, the image of the function is a real number. In other words, every image or value of the function for each argument is nothing but a real number. Here the domain is also a real number, and codomain is also set of or subset of real numbers. In other words, we are considering functions whose domain is also subset of real number and codomain is also subset of real numbers. We are also using another one term, that is absolute of x. Absolute of x. So here I give the definition of absolute of x. It is equals to minus x if x is less than 0, and it is equals to x if x is greater than or equals to 0. Similarly, we can consider absolute of x minus 1. Absolute of x minus 1 or modulus of x minus 1, which is 1 minus x if x is less than 1, and x minus 1 if x is greater than or equal to 1. And in our further discussion, while discussing about the limit of a function, we will be using these notations very frequently. Here we define what is the limit of a function. A limit of function of real valued function is again a real number. So a real number L is called limit of a real valued function fx as x tends to a if for every epsilon greater than 0 there exists delta greater than 0, such that the absolute difference between fx and L can be less than epsilon whenever the absolute difference between x and a is less than delta. In other words, the absolute difference between fx and L can be made less than any positive number, as the difference between x and a can be made less than some number, delta. So we write it as limit extending a of fx is equal to L. In other words, as before, if we are considering the negative and all those things, we can say that the value of the function fx lies in the open interval L minus epsilon and L plus epsilon for every value of x which is between a minus delta and a plus delta. So we write it as limit x tending a of fx is equal to L. Of course, the limit has only one definition, but here the interval can be the interval a minus delta to a plus delta can be divided into two subintervals. One is a minus delta to a and another one is a to a plus delta. As x tends to a from the lower values of a, we call it as left hand limit, and as x tends to a from the upper values or higher values of a, we call it as right hand limit. So we shall discuss about the right hand limit and left hand limit, and also we shall consider one example.